Welcome back, everyone. It's just another day in the life as a military wife, and my voice is a little scratchy today. I think it's the cold weather. It's been getting to me. But I thought it would be nice to wrap up this year doing something a little bit more chill, talking about something a little bit more fun. So I'm going to review a lot of the books because I said I wanted to read more this year. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit. I threw the question out to you guys, and I really enjoyed seeing what you guys had been reading this year. So that's what we're going to dig into. As always, I'm your host, Sam Wolf, and this is Life of a Military Wife. Okay, so let's just kind of dive into this. I have made a goal, or at least I made a goal this last year. I wanted to read more, and I realized this year that I actually read quite a bit. My issue is I just don't usually keep track of what I read, and so I don't feel like I read that much. But this year I actually went back and looked at everything I had read and realized I'd read quite a few new things. I mean, there are things that I reread all the time because I have favorites and I just and also especially when I'm like redoing like listening like going through a book a second or third time, I like to do that on audiobook while I'm like doing a project around the house or something. Mindless like laundry and dishes and all that fun stuff that has to get done when, we're adults. So, but I want to talk about the books that I read that were new this year. And some of these might be surprising that you're like, wait, you'd never read that before? Yeah, I know. There are classic literature or well-known books that I had never read, and I'm trying to like make a list of those and read those because I want to expand my horizons. The other thing I ran into with YouTube mom that homeschools that I like to follow. She does this thing that she calls the 5x5 challenge. It's from the Shoal sisters, and it helps you kind of focus your reading goals. So I'm going to talk about that a bit too. But let's get into what I read this last year, and then we'll get into my game plan for next year. Um, so one of the first ones I read this year was The Way They Learn, and that was by Cynthia Tobias. And that one was more of a professional development one that was a lot about learning styles and different things like that. And I've shared that with you on the podcast because I was so excited when a friend recommended it to me. It was a very helpful book. Sorry, I'm taking a sip of tea because, like I said, my voice has been a little shot lately. Okay, the next thing is I've always liked Brandon Sanderson's books, but I've not read a ton of his books. I've read mostly the Stormlight Archive books and none of his other series. Um, which is kind of tragic, I guess, considering he was a professor at the university I went to. So, um, this year he announced that he had written 4 secret books. And that got me kind of just looking into his other series that he's written. And I ended up reading all of Skyward and all of Mistborn, well, most of Mistborn. He just released a new one and I'm working on it. I'll probably finish it next year. It's called Lost Metal, but all of the Skyward series, which are more YA novels, and then the Mistborn collection, which is 7 books now, in 2 different phases. But I've really enjoyed both of those sets. The Skyward I have recommended to a lot of my friends who are homeschooling and they have like junior high schoolers because it is a really like it's not a difficult read, but it's a really engaging read and it's really, really creative and fun. And it's just enjoyable. He's got some that are a little bit more intense that you're like every time you read it you catch something you didn't catch last time, but this one's a lot more straightforward. And the first 3 books, Skyward, Starsight, and Cytonic, he wrote. The next 3 are mini novels that go in between the main 3 novels. and those are Sunreach, Read On, and Evershore. And those he co-wrote with a friend of his named Jancy. And I was so impressed with the work she did with Brandon Sanderson that I think I'm going to look into what her rest of her books are that she's done. I'm really interested in her as an author now. Then the Mistborn one, he wrote all of those ones, and they're kind of heavy. They are definitely not ones I would recommend to junior high or even young high schoolers, more like late high school, college level, because it covers some really heavy topics about societal issues and um, just different things. It touches on slavery and class systems and poverty and just really it's very well written. It's incredibly well written. I would recommend it, but I think there's an age appropriateness factor that needs to be considered with those books. The next one was Jungle Book. I'd never read a lot of Kipling, and my brother-in-law at the family reunion this year suggested that the kids would really like that one, and so that's when we did as a family. Seven at Sea, I had the chance to meet Emily Orton at a Time Out for Women, which I did talk about, and that just intrigued me. Her whole personality and everything like that. She just was very engaging and very genuine and like I wanted to know more. And so I ended up reading her book, Seven at Sea, which is fantastic. I would totally recommend it. It's about basically how they picked up their life. They were New York, Manhattan, apartment livers, and they moved onto a catamaran and lived in the Bahamas for a year. And it's a really fun, very fun read and really enjoyable. And there's a lot of really good like insights into life. I just really found that one very motivating and encouraging. It's nice to see that everyone has problems. Everyone's problems are different, and it's how we handle them. It's how we handle all the curveballs that life gives us that's the important thing. The next one I read was Midnight Library. I found this actually on a girls' night thing. We just happened to wander into a book section and start looking at books, and it looked intriguing to me, so I got the audio and everything for it. Um, this one is a tough read. I'm going to give you just kind of a disclaimer on this one. If you have dealt with mental health issues, specifically suicide, I don't recommend this book. If you have dealt with family members with those issues, I don't recommend this book. The first part of the book is really, really depressing. The second part of the book is fantastic. It's kind of like the concept of It's a Wonderful Life. This individual is given a second chance after trying to end her life to see how her life could have been different. And she gets to try all these different lives. And she finally finds one that she genuinely loves. But then she kind of feels guilty because she doesn't feel like she's earned that life. And she kind of wants to go back and earn that life. And it gives her a reason to live. And she realizes there were good things that she did accomplish in her life. That if she had lived this other life, yeah, her life would be fantastic, but she wouldn't have helped some of the people that she had helped um, in her real life, in the life she had had. And so she gets a chance to see the positive that she has accomplished and the positive that can happen and that her life can be better. And so I think it's a very interesting read. I'm not sure I'm going to go back to it a ton. It was very well thought out, but again, the first bit is really rough to get through. The next one is Dune because the movie came out and I didn't go see the movie. Everyone kept talking about the movie. Everyone's been talking about the movie and this book for ages because I'm a sci-fi person. And I figured I should probably finally read the book, and I did. And it is fine and I can see why people like it a lot. It just wasn't my cup of tea. It's not one I'm ever going to read again. And honestly, I probably won't go see the movie after reading the book because I just did not enjoy the story. I didn't. It wasn't my cup of tea. That said, I have read in the past a lot of the L.M. Montgomery books, the Anne series. I got through most of those as a kid. And then I realized I quit because it just didn't appeal to me anymore. Like I couldn't relate to her when she became a mom and married and an adult. Yeah. So I decided to go back and read some of those. And so not last year, but the year before, I reread um the ones where she just was married, like just married. And I really liked that. So then I went and read Rainbow Valley and Rilla of Ingleside this year, and I really enjoyed those. I thought they were really, really fun and a lot like just entertaining and engaging, and I just really fun read. Another one that I got into was Little House in the Big Woods. That one was with the kids again. We didn't quite finish that one. I don't, but we're gonna try to finish it this next year. And then because I had seen the All Creatures Great and Small like PBS show, I thought, hey, why not read the books? Evidently, there's books, I found out. And so I went and I read all of his books by James Herriot, and I totally recommend these books. They are fantastic. Absolutely loved them. Would read them again. He did a version of his because the it's a whole bunch of short stories all in one book. Um, and he actually pulled out some of those that are more like all age appropriate, like that would be not too intense for little kids because he was a vet and you know not everything goes well in the veterinary. Sometimes things go south and whatnot. But anyway, he pulled out some of the cutest like little kid appropriate stories, and he has a kids book that if you've got kids, I think is a really good recommendation. I did that with my kids this year, and they liked those stories a lot. But yeah, so I read All Creatures Great and Small, All Things Bright and Beautiful, and All Things Wise and Wonderful. And I absolutely love the book so much. It's one of those things where it actually kind of ruined the show. I loved the TV show, and then I read the books, and I'm like, they changed so much. And I know that happens with everything, like where like you can't completely adapt a book perfectly to a TV or movie format. It's never going to be exactly the same. And I get that. But at the same time, oh my goodness, I love the book so much that the changes they made, oh, I just don't love it as much. Oh, I really don't. So, but yeah, so those were the ones I read this year. And I actually sitting down and writing them out, I realized I read a lot. I read almost 25 books, new books, and then I reread books, which makes me super happy because I'm starting what's called the 5 by 5 challenge. So it's a way to get more diversity in your reading, which I realized when I was looking back, a lot of what I read was novels. It was fun stuff, which there's nothing wrong with, but very little of it was professional development or anything like that. And so I was listening to this mom who's a YouTuber, Jar Fireflies, and she was talking about how she did this and it helped kind of broaden what she was reading, and I liked it. So I've started working on it. I don't have all of my categories figured out, but the year's not over. So I have time to make my plan for next year. But the first area I decided I was going to do was professional development. So again, I have a blank in this category just because I'm still figuring some of these things out. But I'd like to read, and there were some of these were books that she recommended, and she's also started doing a series where she goes through her bookshelves and shares all the books that they've got in their house. And I love that because we have something like one, two, three, like 5 or 6 bookshelves in our house. Not to mention like just totes full of books that we don't have bookshelves for because we're a military family. And yeah, so every move we kind of rotate what books we have out. So it's kind of all new and exciting every time. And then we collect books like crazy. I think the kids got like 5 or 6 books. Like we got tons of books for Christmas. We might like books just a little bit, maybe, maybe just a little bit. Okay. Back to professional, though. First category was professional. So, Mother Culture by Karen Andrello? Andreola, whatever, Andrella. I'm really, really bad with pronouncing names sometimes. Anyway, that one is one she recommended. The Read Aloud Family by Sarah Mackenzie. Home Education, which I don't have who the author is written down. Irreversible Damage. Those are all four books that I for professional development I want to read. And I'll probably find some other ones. Like I said, I still have a blank spot on my 5 picks for that category. The next is classics. War and Peace is back on my list because I've never finished it. And I want to try to finish it this year. The Little Prince is on my list because I've been meaning to read it for years and I just haven't gotten around to it. And my dad got it for me for Christmas. So I have no excuse now. I have my own copy. So Little Prince is on my list for this year. That's all I have for classics. I still have some more to figure out there. Um, Read aloud with the kids. Where the Sidewalk Ends, Aesop's Fables, The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe are what I have for this year to read aloud to the kids. And I've got 2 more spots to fill in on that one. Then this one is the one that like I realize I kind of get on kicks. I pick a favorite author almost for a little while and I just kind of read almost everything they've ever written. I did this with Terry Pratchett a couple years back. I've done it with Agatha Christie. I've done it with Dickens. I just kind of get into like this zone where all I want to read is this one author. And there's ups and downs to that. I mean, if they've not written a lot, I go through it fast. If they've written a lot, I don't go through it very fast and I don't get a lot of diversity in what I'm reading. Um, but at the same time, I have a lot of depth of knowledge. So, there's ups and downs. But yeah, I'm kind of stuck on a Brandon Sanderson kick right now. So, he announced that he had done these 4 secret projects. He's got these 4 extra novels he's releasing this year. And so I have the Year of Sanderson. I'm going to finish up Lost Metal, which I'm already on, which is the most recent Mistborn one. And then I didn't write all of the secret novels down. And if you are trying to like not find out what the Year of Sanderson secret novel titles are until you actually get the copies, um, skip like 30 seconds to a minute and come back to me and you'll be fine. More like 30 seconds. Um, it's Trust of the Emerald Sea is the first secret book. The second one is The Frugal Wizard's Guide to Surviving Medieval England, which he has released the first chapter of all of these on his YouTube page. He reads them to you, and that one is really, really funny. Really funny. The next one is Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. And then the fifth one I didn't get written down, so I'm gonna have to go look that one up again. But yeah, we're gonna be getting all 4 of his secret novels, his secret projects, and I'm finishing Lost Metal. So I'm gonna be plenty busy with my Year of Sanderson. Um, and then I don't have my 5th category figured out. I have tentatively labeled it as fun. Although, ooh, a lot of those categories could, like the classics and Year of Sanderson, could already be labeled as fun. But basically, it's going to be miscellaneous. There are some books that I got for the kids for Christmas. I got one that she recommended. It was, oh gosh, I can't remember right now. It's failing me. Let me look it up, of course, on my shipping my orders and I'll be able to tell you what it is. But it's one that I got because I saw it and I thought, "Oh my goodness, I think my daughter would really like this." It's I think the Unicorn Treasury. I want to make sure I'm saying this right though. I don't want to lead you astray. It looks fantastic. It'll probably go on the read aloud with kids because I got it. My kids have already torn through the Aesop's Fables that we bought them for Christmas. I got my husband When Christmas Comes by uh, Andrew Clavin. Yes, Andrew Clavin. That's what he got for Christmas. We all got books for Christmas. Unicorn Treasury, yeah. The kids got Unicorn Treasury for Christmas and Aesop's Fables. They've already been reading Aesop's Fables to themselves. My youngest is learning to read still. My current youngest is learning to read still, so we will be reading those out loud. But um, I Unicorn Treasury will probably go on our read out loud books too because I got it for the kids for Christmas. And I'm excited to see what that one's all about. It was recommended again by Jar of Fireflies. And I've mentioned her a lot during this episode, but I really enjoyed because I love books. I love that my kids love books. And it makes me excited when I get to find out what other people are reading and what other people enjoy. And so I was looking at everything you guys posted that you had been reading this year, and that got me excited. So I'm going to start researching some of your recommendations that you posted when I threw out my question on Facebook, and we'll see where it goes. Maybe some of your guys' suggestions will add up on my list because I still have plenty of blank spaces, especially in my fun category. I don't have any listed. So we'll see where that one leads me. But I really liked the concept of the 5x5 because it will hopefully encourage me to broaden my literary horizons instead of just zoning in on one thing and kind of going a little whole hog crazy on stuff. So yeah, we'll see if it works. But if nothing else, I really liked when you go to the website, the Shul Sisters Challenge, I will put the website in the link, but they have a free print off so you can make your little list, but then you can make this little bookshelf and it's got little squares for all of your little different sections that you can like cross off as you go through them. And I loved that idea. So I'm going to be posting my bookshelf up on my desk area to kind of remind me about what my goals are and what books I want to read and kind of making a plan on how to do that and spread things out and stuff. So that is what I've done with my reading goal for this year. I had other goals, as we've talked about, and goal setting in general, but I was really surprised at how much I'd read. I don't think I feel like I read a lot, and yeah, I do. I read a lot more than I think I do. So that's always a pleasant surprise. I feel like I spend a lot of time on YouTube and, streaming platforms, and I don't read enough. And so when I sit down and actually see how much I've read in a year, it's like, oh, okay, good. I'm not just mindlessly viewing like endless YouTube videos and stuff. So, I mean, like, there's nothing wrong with that. Again, Jar of Fireflies, I love her YouTube channel. Um, Chateau Diaries. There's quite a few YouTube channels that I genuinely enjoy. Shadiversity is one that I particularly have loved for a long time. He is fantastic. And Brandon Sanderson has his YouTube channel with his Intentionally Blank podcast. That is a hoot. I love getting insights from authors on how they write and what the writing process is and different things like that. So there's a lot of good things. Tasting history. Maybe I should just wow, I've already named a bunch of them. Maybe I should do like my top YouTube channels recommendations sometime. I don't know if you guys would even care about what I like on YouTube. Everyone has very different tastes and preferences. But anyway, yeah, that's some of I just find inspiration through those things. And some of them are very educational and some are just fun. Um, but you need a balance, I think. And that was what my mother would always say. She's like, don't let your studies get in the way. You don't let your schooling get in the way of your education. That's what it was. Don't let your schooling get in the way of your education. And I think sometimes we let being learned be higher in a priority than being wise, so applying what we've learned. So that's my 2 cents for this year. I hope you all have had a wonderful year and a wonderful holiday season with your loved ones. I will check back with you in the new year. As always, this is Sam Wolf, and I am your host of Life Life of a Military Wife. I don't even know my and wow, it's been a year. Yeah. See you guys next year.